All right, so we are going to continue with chapter 11, which is our study of this unit circle. And so just to review what we talked about yesterday, here's my circle, and I'm going to put it on the XY axes. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then I have X, Y. Now, with it being a unit circle, what does that mean about the radius? Equals what? 1, thank you. Okay, so the unit circle is a circle on the XY grid whose radius is 1. And so we know these points, we get these exact coordinates, 1, 0, 0, 1, -1, 0, and then 0, -1. Okay, those lie directly on the circle. But there's a bunch of other points on this circle that are not exact that we can estimate. Okay, so before we do that though, let's look what else we know about this circle. We also said that this is always the starting point, 0, and I can go around my unit circle, and when I get to this point, in radians, this is also pi over 2. This is pi. Ooh, don't slide. And then this is 3 pi over 2. And then one full circle, one full revolution is 2 pi, okay? We also looked at the approximations, the decimal approximations of these values. So we said that this was about 1.57. Pi we know is 3.14. This one was 4.71, and 2 pi is 6.28. So again, this is what you have to have memorized. You have to know this. All this information should be like, got it, okay? Now, we also talked about walking around the unit circle. So here's example. Find the coordinate pair when you walk. Let's do, how about this? Let's get a little challenging. 4.2 units around the circle. Okay, 4.2 units. So we always start at that point, and I'm going to travel. So if I travel along this curved distance, when I get here, this is about 1.57 miles, not far enough. We keep going and we get to 3.14 miles. Now I'm looking ahead and I see that 4.71 will be too much. So you guys, someone tell me where to stop, okay? Oh, you said right there. Nobody said stop. All right, so I'm going to stop just short of 4.71, so about there approximately, okay? And then the decimal approximation, okay, let's look at x. X, I have to go in the negative direction about, yeah, Marianne, I'm on board with that, -0.3. I like it. This is about not quite halfway, -0.3, -0.4, those would be good. And then the y coordinate would be, I think -0.9 according to my picture, but I think if you could do -0.8 depending on where your point is, okay? So my coordinate pair here is about -0.3 and -0.9. Any questions on how we find those? Okay, everybody feel okay with that? The other thing you can do, I guess I should pause when I ask a question. If you have any questions, please ask, okay? The other thing we can do is find the coordinate pair when you walk, let's say negative 3 pi over 2 units around the unit circle. That was that answer. All right, so I'm just gonna pick a different color here. Let's pick green, which always makes me think of AKAs, but whatever. Pink and green. All right, if I go negative 3 pi over 2 units, I'm gonna still start here, but the negative, what does the negative mean? Does anybody remember that from yesterday? It's clockwise, okay? We're gonna go, instead of going counterclockwise, we're gonna go in the opposite direction. So I'm gonna go this way. So then we're gonna count. This is pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, and then when I get here, that's 3 pi over 2. So this is negative 3 pi over 2. That's the distance I've walked. I've gone the opposite direction, 3 pi over 2 units. What's my coordinate pair at that point? And everybody said 0, 1. Okay, good. All right, any questions about that? All right, so we have times where we walk around the unit circle and we make estimations, both distance and points. And we have times we walk around the unit circle and we get to exact locations with exact values of the points, okay? We're gonna use all of that in the next section. So the next section, we're gonna do 11.2 and 11.3. And when I wanna talk about the trig functions, okay? So this whole course is the study of functions, and we finally got into our last set of functions. Okay, remember, a function is like a machine. You have an input, you get an output, okay? So here's definition. The sign of a number, which we'll call A, written as sign A, is the y coordinate of the point you get to on the unit circle by traveling counterclockwise a distance of a units from 1, 0. Okay, so I basically just described in words what we've been doing. And the sign of that number is the y coordinate, which is why we had to figure out how to get our coordinates, okay? See, and everything step by step leads to the next place, okay? Even though this says S-I-N-A, we don't say sin A, you still say sine A, just a matter of speech, okay? Now, similarly, I know that's not a technical definition word, but similarly, cosine of the number is the x coordinate. You get to. Okay, same process. Sine is y, cosine is x. Now, just because I think it's good to put all of this together, I'm going to also talk about tangent. Okay, my third definition is tangent. And the tangent of a number A is defined as So tangent of A is sine of A over cosine of A, which is basically the y coordinate over the x coordinate. Okay, if you have heard this before and this is somewhat familiar to you, give me a thumbs up in the chat so I can see. I'd like to know how many people this is like, yeah, okay, I've heard this before. Okay, if you don't remember or you can't, or you know you've never seen this before, how about give me a, an oh no face? Who's willing to be honest? All right, thank you. I got one person, 2 people, brutally honest. I love that, and brave. Thank you, 3 people. Okay, very good. All right, so here it is, sine, cosine, tangent. All right, let's do some problems with this. All right. So here's an example. Whoops, it jumped. Find sine of 3 and find sine of 3. Let's do all 3 at one time. Sine of 3, cosine of 3, and tangent of 3. Okay. We don't need to waste time here. All right. So here's my unit circle. And I'm going to use my freehand drawing. It's not perfect, but the first step is, step 1 is walk 3 units around the circle. Okay, you have to walk 3 units. You have to first find that coordinate pair before you can answer these questions. All right, so starting at 1, 0, here's, I know this is pi, which is about 3.14. So I'm going to need to stop just short of 3.14. So this right here is about 3 units. Now I need to estimate my coordinate pair. And we did do this yesterday. The x coordinate is almost -1. So we're going to say it's about -0.99 because, man, that's close. Okay, we're almost to -1. Now for the y coordinate, okay, y, let's say like 0.1. Is that okay? And again, you might have a little bit of variation. Maybe in your graph that you're drawing on your paper, you get 0.2. That's okay, as long as you're like in the right area, okay? Because this is an estimate. All right, so now let's look at our function. Let's look at sine of 3. This is our input. We're putting in 3. What am I going to get out? Which number should be my output? According to this definition, sine is the y coordinate, okay? So that would be 0.1, okay? All right, everybody see that? My input is the distance, my output is the coordinate, y coordinate. All right, cosine of 3 is then going to be -0.99. And I should be careful about this because I'm going to use my little squiggle lines. These are approximations. Okay, they are approximations, so I should be careful with that. Sine of 3 might be close to 0.1, but it's probably not exactly 0.1. Any questions on that? So this is output of my function. It's the x coordinate. All right, easy peasy, right? Tangent of 3 is going to be sine of 3 over cosine of 3. which is 0.1 over negative 0.99. Now, I think for the purposes of this, we can do a little bit more work if you want. I mean, this is good. That's what it is. But if we deal with our arithmetic a little bit, if I move this 2 places, I can move this 2 places. So this is the same as 10 over 99. Okay. Also, if you want, I will accept the decimal. I will accept this. Now, if you get something like that divides nicely, sometimes it helps to go ahead and do the division. But since they're approximations, that's really hard to do. Okay. This is okay. All right, let's do another one. Let's find, and here we go. Let's find sine of pi over 2, and we're going to just do them all. Cosine of pi over 2, tangent of pi over 2. All right, so here's my unit circle. Now, 1, 0, 0, negative, or I'm sorry, negative 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, negative 1. And just to fill it in, this is pi over 2, this is pi, this is 3 pi over 2. It doesn't hurt to do that every time. It also just embeds it in your brain so you don't forget. All right, so here's my unit circle. Now, if I travel pi over 2 units, we start here, and I'm going to go to pi over 2, which is right there. Yeah. So sine of pi over 2, when I go pi over 2 units. Now, this is not a squiggle because this is exact. We can get to the exact location, right? The y coordinate of that point is 1. Cosine of pi over 2 is 0. Okay, so again, it's the y coordinate of the point you get to after walking pi over 2 units. Okay, this is the x coordinate. Any questions about how we get that? All right, now tangent. Tangent of pi over 2 is sine of pi over 2 over cosine of pi over 2, which is 1 over 0. And you should be going, uh-oh. Uh-oh. What is the problem with that? Where your senses should be going off. What's wrong?
0 can't be in the denominator.
0 cannot be in the denominator. This is not real. So tangent at pi over 2 is undefined. And actually, the way tangent is, domain for tangent is, if I have it written. Yeah, we just keep it simple, but what that means is pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2 are not in the domain of tangent. Everything else in between is. Okay, that's okay. All right, let's, yeah.
1, it's 10 o'clock, and 2, Katarina got kicked out of the Zoom.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking for her to come back in, but it's not alerting me that she's, I don't know what to do. I don't know why it's not letting her back in.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's not in the waiting room is what I'm saying. I don't see her at all. So ask her if she's in the waiting room or she can't even get to the waiting room. If you could for me, please. I was gonna start the quiz at 10:05 because it's a little shorter than normal. So let's do one more. find sine of, let's do 5. Cosine of 5, and then tangent of 5. Okay. I think the approximation ones are a little bit harder, so let's do one more. All right, so again, 1, 0, negative 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, negative 1. This is pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2. Got a little messy there. Okay, 5. I know that this is 4.71. So when I walk around my circle, I'm going to get just past it. This is about 5. Okay. And my coordinates, I have to estimate my coordinates. There we go. She's back. My coordinates are going to be about 0.4 and maybe negative 0.8 for y. Okay. Is everybody comfortable with that? I just kind of like went through that quickly. All right. So sine of 5 is then negative 0.8. It's the y coordinate. Cosine of 5 is 0.4. And then your tangent of 5 is going to be negative 0.8. It's sine over cosine. And this is one that will divide nicely, just based upon my estimations. That's going to be negative 2. If you do 0.8 divided by 0.4, it's 2. Okay? Any questions on any of this? All right, let me stop recording.